just don't stop. Trunks pop, tops drops in the front end hot. Pink top screens on at the bed in the zone. Yeah, it's on, ride on, ballin' at my home. Texas don't hate, showing up in the state. Can't wait, get it straight while the front end break. Play the coast, be the boss, looking good when I flow. Sunshine, let it down, turn it up and climb.
Whew, had to do it again. They were just so delicious. What's up? What's up? Good evening, everybody, on this special Thursday edition. I know, of the We Won Houston podcast. I'm your host, Clayton Anderson, and I also cover the Texans for Torah Times of the Fansided Network. Joining me today is a very articulate individual, man of color, very world-renowned in his household. Raiser of villages, 95.7 The Fan personality. Got to get that right. Host of the B Block podcast, Mr. B. Scott of Herm Clark. Brandon Scott, thank you for coming on, bro. How you doing, man?
Hey man, thank you for having me. But can I just say for a second, man, you did was that your edit?
Yeah, just do it together, like 2 minutes.
Bruh, that thing was a smoker. That thing is flaming, bruh. That was nice. That was really nice. It adds already to a pretty good rollout, a fairly decent rollout by the Texans. And man, I think you brought it home there, man. But first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate you for extending the invite. And I'm glad to be here, man. This is one of the more exciting times of the calendar year once you are anticipating football season. Obviously, they have not played real games yet, but they also haven't had time to disappoint us neither. So everybody can kind of be happy in the moment. I think I feel like the vibe should be immaculate right now.
Oh, that's a perfect way to say that, immaculate. And the way that you had to say it that way, they haven't given us time to be disappointed yet. I I never thought about it that way, but that is very much true. So, but with that being said, hey, it's a beautiful time anyway. The vibes, as the kids say, at an all-time high. We spinning rims, we wearing grills, we dropping tops, all the stuff throughout the city. It's a beautiful thing, man, right now. But I'm just gonna ask you, perfect segue, right? We mentioned the heat that was the video, but of course, with that video came some jerseys, right? So, B. Scott, man, where were you when you finally saw the official reveal of the Texans Nike collaboration rivalry jerseys?
So I got a text message from the Texans letting us know that they were about to drop them, that they were about to officially drop. So I was kind of like waiting, and I don't think I actually saw them until I think I was in transit. I was going from like the 95.7 The Fan garage into the studio, and by the time I actually laid my eyes on them, I was in the studio. I think with Figgy, if I'm not mistaken, and I got to get a look at them. And I got to say, man, just in the moment, I thought, and this was later articulated on the station, I think by Lopez or somebody, I thought this was the best uniform yet. And I was a big fan of the rollout from a couple of years ago from 2024. I thought they nailed that one. I thought they nailed this one even more. It's to me, and just in my personal opinion, the best uniform and the best gear that they have produced yet. So I'm that high on it. I was just telling somebody earlier that on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm at like a 9.5. I might have the smallest of nitpicks about it, but it's almost not even. It's that nitpicky when you talk about it, man. I thought that they were fire, man. I can't wait to get some gear. I have not done that yet. I've not gotten any gear yet, but bro, as soon as I get a chance, I will be rocking that gear.
Listen, my wife and I have already had that conversation. She saw me scrolling through my phone. I was on the Nike store. I was clicking notify me. I done found a sleeveless hoodie. I'm a hoodie guy. I done found a sleeveless hoodie. I done found a pullover. I done found the drop fit. I done found the one with all the all the Houston with us in it, with the bull the horn right there, with the A sound on the back and the blue and white tiling. I done been through all that. I'm on like 8 notify me lists. And she saw it. She was like, "No, sir." I was like, "What?" She's like, "You have enough hoodies," and I'm like, "I'll get rid of some. Like, I'll give it away. I just, I don't ask for much." And man, of course, you also saw the Air Max that hit the Nike store too. So listen, man, there are people preparing to pay an obscene amount of money for these things. But no, man, to your point, I firmly agree. I think that yeah, I think these are my favorite units of all time in franchise history. Now they haven't had many, but you know they went from the OGs, you know, '02 to what 2024 as you mentioned, and then you brought in the Reds, the full battle red with the horns and the helmet, so that was clean. The H Town Blues were my favorite at first, the alternate with the H, and then these, man. And I think what makes it so beautiful also is not just the sheer volume of drip. It is just the history that only Houstonians will resonate with truly. Like from the Be Someone the Be Someone inspired text to the the car scene inspired chrome finishes, just the chrome blue face mask. Like every last detail is nothing but Houston B. Scott. And it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, at the risk of sounding like superficial, it looks so good with jewelry, right? It looks so good with
Mm.
diamonds. Like even in the video that we just
Hmm.
showed, man, they got the custom jewelry going with it, and you don't even need custom jewelry. It can just go like if you got anything white gold or just diamonds, this is
Hmm.
gonna look good with diamonds, man. And so I'm right there with you. I love that you mentioned though the history part of it because I
Hmm.
think this part is really important for people to understand
Yep.
that the colors and the history are synonymous. They are one and the same. It's not just that it's a fly color, and it definitely is that. I feel like most people, we should just universally be able to agree that it's a dope color, whether you have a connection to the city or to the history or not. It's a dope look. I
Right.
know people who are not invested that think that way, that man, that just looks
Hmm.
clean. But then on top of that, you have to be able to appreciate what those colors mean transcending sports. And then,
Hmm.
like you mentioned, the tile text. And I'm starting to think it's not a coincidence that 95.7 The Fan just did its rebrand a couple of weeks ago. And we got some of
Mm.
that tile text in our stuff. And then the
Mhm.
Texans rebrand. Something tells me that they might have been collaborating behind the scenes. I
Sure.
don't think that the team was following the station. The station
Mhm.
was probably more so following the team, but it does seem like they had sort of a similar idea in mind and
Mhm.
wanting to go with that be someone video type of text. If you're looking like in your different fonts on whatever you have, Photoshop or whatever, it'd probably be most comparable to like the video text.
Yeah.
But that from the be someone, also the boulevards, the old bricks back in the day, like
Mhm. Mhm.
it's a nostalgia play, it's a nod to history, and it's a clean look, objectively a clean look. So I
Yeah.
was with it, man. I was with. I know they
Mhm.
were not everybody. I don't think they were universally like 100% consensus on it,
Mhm.
but for the folks that didn't like it, I just didn't know what to tell them because I thought it was
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah. And see, while you were speaking, I stumbled into what I was looking for. So see, I had to find, something. It was a better graphic than this that's out there somewhere, but like it really dove into each piece, each component to it. So, like you mentioned, man, like just in picture form right here, you got the blue and white tiling, of course, synonymous with Houston. Of course, you got the candy, the drop top slabs. Of course, you got the white helmet due to late owner Bob McNair, the original that he teased when he held up, in '02. And then, of course, the be someone. So, look, overall, we said it before, we'll say it again. It's just a clean fit. It's just clean. Like, if nothing else, it's just fire, right? And which kind of segues into our next point. We said we weren't going to belabor this, but we're going to hit it real quick. So, B. Scott, listen, man, I couldn't enjoy the jerseys like I really wanted to because I had to spend the last 2 days drinking up all these Tennessee Titans tears that they were weeping and crying all the way down to Nissan Stadium and in the Amy Adams Strunk's office, right? It was so delicious. Listen, I got a Yankees tears cup. I have a Dallas Cowboys cup. I got them in the cabinet. I'm gonna have to make me a Tennessee tears cup because, and we're gonna get into it, but like the sheer resentment and vitriol that came as a result of like there were literal Titans fans, right? Live streaming themselves, reacting to, Houston's rollout video, right? Like people joke about hate watching. Like, no, that was hate watching. Like I felt that through the screen, people seething as they watched the grill show up and the white and the blue and the red, all these things, drop top, candy paint, all the stuff. Like, and they were heated, B. Scott. They were mad, right? So I want to get into it. We're not going to make this the entire video, but it's relevant because again, we know the history between Tennessee slash old Oilers and Houston. We get it. Excuse me. But B Scott, I'm going to let you roll in on this kind of your initial reaction to the blowback of Tennessee. But I just want to put this out there real quick. To both sides' credit, once Tennessee finally left Houston, back in '96 and went through the wilderness, I believe there was not really this beef. Would you agree, B Scott? It
Yeah,
really wasn't.
I would have definitely agreed.
Right. It was kind of dormant, right? Like I know, and some people showed me like the picture from '09 that the Titans kind of tastefully rolled out, like a throwback, which is cool. That's fine, right? Tasteful rollout. You own the IP, do what you want to, right? But see, if we're talking about pettiness, right? I seem to recall the team from Nashville fired the first shot back in week 15 of the 2023 season, B Scott, if I remember correctly, when they relaunched the Oilers brand and specifically said, we're going to do it against Houston, right? Now, B Scott, unless memory might fail me sometimes, but I do have a clip of actually what happened on that fateful day when they did that. So here you go, right here. This is
John
what
Weeks, the
happened.
snapper. Cam Johnston, the holder. Fairbairn's kick is good. And the Texans win it here in Nashville.
Winning
Right.
they trap and took they trap.
Took they trap, right? So B Scott, look, I don't already say too much. B Scott, I'm gonna roll it over to you, man. Do you feel as though it's unfounded the level of vitriol we've seen from Titans fans over our jersey reveal?
Yeah, I don't even understand it. The only part of it that I can understand from their standpoint would be feeling like they were showed up because they've obviously everybody's doing their rivalries uniforms, and of course as you mentioned, the Titans have already dug in this or kind of gone to this well already, right? They've done this already in
Mhm.
2023, did it in 2009, and so this is their retro jersey, and so I could see how them watching Houston do it makes them feel shown up a little bit. And
Mhm.
so maybe a little bit embarrassed in that way. And also, if we just being real, and of course I'm biased in saying this, being a native Houstonian and being on this side of it, we
Mhm.
do it better too. Like we just do it better because we have it's because we don't just have the colors. That's the thing. The Titans
Mhm.
have the IP. The Titans have the colors. The
Mhm.
Titans own the history from a franchise standpoint.
Mhm.
But that doesn't speak to culture. That doesn't speak
Mhm.
to like the substance of it all and where it all really
Mm.
comes from and what it all really means.
Tell him, B
And
Scott.
all roads lead back to Houston.
Mm.
All roads lead back to Houston, no matter what your connection is to this color scheme, if you will. It all leads
Mhm.
back to Houston. If you're a Titans fan and you love the throwbacks, thank Houston for that because
Mm.
they're Houston Oilers uniforms. And
Mm.
obviously, if you're a Texans
Whew.
fan and you're probably a Houstonian and you like it, you already got the culture and the history and the frame of reference and all of that, so you don't need me to remind you of that. So we can
Mhm.
all of us, and this is what's funny about the back and forth to me, is that we should all at least be able to agree, even with all of this bickering, that we look good. They look good. I'm not gonna even hate and lie. They look good and they get up. Cause the colors, we admit, are fresh. They look great. They look amazing.
Mhm.
So do we. And so we're
Yeah.
doing all of this fighting and bickering and mudslinging, and we getting all the mud on this fresh gear that we
Mm.
all are wearing. Like, let's just hate each other substantively and for good reason and not for this sort of shared history. Because that's the reality of it that I don't think either
Mm.
side wants to really acknowledge, is that both sides do have an entitlement to
Mhm.
these colors and to this history because of what I just laid out, them owning the IP and the history going over there with them with the team. They've got a right to this, even though they don't have the same cultural connection that we do. They got a
Mhm.
right to it, as do we, since this
Mhm.
is where it was actually born. This is the actual source of it. So yeah, man, it's actually really funny. And I'll say this too. I spent a lot of
Mhm.
energy on this in 2023 hoping
Mhm.
that that would be the end of it, that I
Mhm.
would not have to spend much more energy on it. And if I'm just being real, I have not spent a whole lot of energy, and I can appreciate you drinking the Titans tears. Let's go out there
Mm.
because if it's us against
Mm.
them, I'm with us, right?
Right.
But for me, man, asked and answered, and I said, like, I wrote a column about this in Cron.com back in
Mhm.
2023 when this was happening. And I tell people, man, I said what I said, and that's what I had to say. And we gonna rock and we gonna do our thing.
Mhm. I'm still stuck on what you said, which is like we're doing all this mudslinging, but you're getting the mud on the gear, man. We can't,
We
got to
fresh,
keep it
man.
clean.
We
Keep it clean. Oh,
fresh.
by the way, I told B Scott this off stream. I said I might get a cease and desist letter because I do have on blue. It might look a little bit dark right now, so I'm hoping my blue is not too light into where it gets me sued. Right, I might got to put on something else. But no, man. Look, to your point, and I say that tongue in cheek. Right, I really am not trying to instigate further, but I will just add on this, man. Look, you said it perfectly. There is a sense of entitlement both ways that we have to educate ourselves out of, right? From a Houston standpoint, yes, it's true. The heartbeat of the Oilers slash Titans, like yes, like you said, it all leads back to Houston, Texas. We know 1959 to 1996 was one of the most iconic runs in all of sports. Forget just NFL, like in all of sports, revolutionizing marketability and really putting Houston on the map in a sense in the football world. In a sense, that's kind of that happened. That's legit. But we have to understand from the Houston side of things, we can't argue against ownership and IP. In the same way that, for example, if you're a Marvel fan, B. Scott, and anybody else out there, Sony, they own Spider Man. It doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter what you feel. It does not matter if you liked, right? Exactly. There you go, right? Perfect setup. It doesn't matter if you liked Madam Web. It don't matter if you like Venom. It don't matter if you like Craven the Hunter. It doesn't matter if you think Sony needs to just sell Spider Man. Sony is genius because they understand the golden goose that they have in Spider-Man. It is their IP. They legally negotiated it. It's theirs. And really, from a business standpoint, they'd be foolish to get rid of it because a lot of their relevance right now is because Spider-Man is still there. Now, they were very smart, though, in allowing Marvel to kind of come in and handle a lot of the creative and the marketing and that kind of stuff. That was smart. But ownership rests with Sony. And it frustrates a lot of, Spider-Man fans because they feel like Sony does not do a good enough job of respecting the source material. Because, for those that don't know the kind of behind the scenes things, Sony is required to make a Spider-Man adjacent movie at least every like 4 to 5 years. And if they don't, the rights revert back to who? Marvel, right? So that's why it comes off as they're just throwing stuff out there every few years, every half decade, because they are, because they're smart. Now, kind of back to the Texans Titans thing, we have to respect the IP. From a Houston Texans fan standpoint, please be smart, be intelligent before you go into these debates. Understand how these things work. Legally speaking, the Adams family, they were smart in that they kept hold of that kind of thing, and you can't argue against that. So they can really do whatever they want to do with the IP. Having said that, B. Scott, and this is where I'll be done with it. We're going to move on. This is my final word on this. It's not just the ownership of the IP on the Titan side of things. It's the weaponization, it's the pettiness, it's our IP, and we're going to do with it as we want to at your expense, right? And that's kind of the attitude, the other entitlement side of things from the Titans fan standpoint. The B Scott, they're legitimately people who they may not say this, but they act like Houston's history, culture, ideology, enrichment. It's like they act like it died in 1996 when the Oilers left, right? Houston was founded what in 1836 if my math is correct,
I think
right?
that's right.
1836 incorporated in 37. Do your history out there, y'all. That's 190 years of history that this city has been through. And that 1959 to 1996 was a very prolific stretch because you had the Oilers. And yes, they did enrich this city a lot. But make no mistake, Houston, B. Scott, you said it. Houston is more than its football teams. It's known for the car culture, the grills, the food, music. People come here for various businesses. We're the home of NASA, Mission Control. Houston, we have a problem. That's us, right? So this attitude as though we're not allowed to tap into our history that predates you, that existed alongside you, and exists far after you. Well, that's just asinine to believe. That's just entitlement on your part. So both sides need to calm down. Basically, is what I'm saying. Both sides need to calm down. Right? We don't want to get any mud in our fresh fits. I'm actually a fan of the Music City Titans outfit because I believe. Thank you for leaning into Nashville's history. Do something with them because really, if anybody's being done a disservice, it's Nashville, Tennessee, B. Scott, because they really are left up in the wind. They're in the middle of all this. They have really not been poured into. Yeah, they got Steve McNair. They got within a yard of a Super Bowl win, but that's about it. Outside of that, they've been destitute. And we're just talking about AFC championship games and stuff like that. Anyway, it's petty, but on both sides, just chill out, right? Enjoy the show. Football's back. This is how you know because we're bickering over this kind of stuff. But B
Yeah.
Scott, I'm
Everybody
done with it.
relax.
Oh,
Everybody relax. Let's
absolutely.
just
To
all be
quote,
cool. Let's all look good. Let's all look good and talk. You know what about football?
absolutely. To quote our guy Jonathan Alexander with the Cron, just bring it down. Just
Bring it down.
bring it down, man. So we do have some actual Texans ball to talk about. So unfortunately, the injury train continues. B Scott, I know you saw this. So according to the people who were there, shout out Aaron Wilson, KPRC2. Newly brought in right tackle Braden Smith, competing for reps at the right tackle position, hurt his foot, a plantar fascia injury, which is only expected to keep him out for a couple weeks, which is good based off of what initial reports were, which is a carting out, which is never good, B. Scott. But my issue, and Ali Gay, by the way, also defensive end, when we've lost so many already, he had a severe knee injury, so I think he's done. I think he's, worse off than Braden Smith. But B. Scott, I'm going to throw it over to you, man. So for me, it's not just Braden Smith. It's not just Ali Gay. It's the fact that since May, we've lost EJ Speed, Jake Hansen, Tank Dale still has not come back. Jalen Noel has been on and off a list. Jaden Higgins, of course, lost him to a torn ACL. And just the list goes on of all these key British books, broken hands. So Noah Whittington, Jawar Jordan, the list goes on. We have just kept losing key depth guys, right? So, B. Scott, I'll ask you, man. Like, is this a sign of more things to come? Are you legitimately concerned about this rash of injuries for the Texans?
Yeah, man. You didn't mention Wade Woodass is another one
That's right. Yeah.
who had an injury. I mean, it's concerning. It's tough, and I do believe also that Braden Smith and Ali Gay injury happened on the same play, and it looks like Ali Gay just got the worst of it, or his injury
Hmm.
might be the more severe of it. But the way I was following it, obviously I'm not out there in Carolina, but was following it just like everybody else in real
Hmm.
time. I think I was actually recording when it was happening. I was actually live streaming when it happened. And my understanding was that happened on the same play and that they might have even shared a cart.
Mm.
It was that kind of a bang bang
Wow.
play. And to your point, man, yeah, it's concerning. It's super concerning. But the way I look at it, the thing that stands out to me most is how it really, probably to the chagrin of a lot of people who want to see guys play, who both for the entertainment purposes and who just value reps, think that especially for an offense that struggled at times or struggled quite a bit last year, man, they need as many live reps and game reps as they possibly can get. And so they get frustrated not seeing guys out there. But to me, this injury situation, as you laid it out, validates that approach and that strategy of
Mm.
preserving guys and not running guys into the ground,
Mm.
and so I think that they've actually played that smart. I've been to a handful of practices, most of the practices that have been here,
Mm.
and they seem to be responsibly managed. And then of course the main guys have not played very much in the preseason, and we don't
Mm.
expect them to play at all on Friday. And so at least the starters, that is. And so I think that is like playing it cautious, intentionally cautious in that way. And just very careful, because you understand. I mean, we know the reality. We all been watching football our entire lives, man.
Mhm.
It is a collision sport. It is a violent game.
Mhm.
And if we thought it was violent when we were playing in Pop Warner in middle school and high school and to whatever level you played at,
Mhm.
man, that NFL looks like a whole different uh yeah, I mean, uh you mentioned in Marvel earlier, that it looks like a whole different universe. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like we're in a whole different world almost. So
Mhm.
yeah, man, it's concerning because it's football, and then we haven't even gotten to know football yet.
Thank you.
And we're
Thank you.
dropping, and that part is concerning. I think the Jaden Higgins injury was a real, what I call a buzzkill and a letdown in the moment, because I'm like, man, I don't think they got another guy on the team, with all due respect to the guys that they have, who I do
Mhm.
like. I have liked what I've seen from the wide receiver group throughout training camp and the
Mhm.
preseason. I think that they have actually performed well. And even having
Mhm.
said that, I didn't feel like they had a guy who could step into that role and give them the production that they were anticipating from Jaden
Mhm.
Higgins. So I was real down about that. That's why I was really high on the Kayshon Boutte trade. Of course, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us content creators, media, and fans were already kind of looking at that, had an eye on that, looking around the league to see who had a surplus of wide receivers. Kayshon Boutte's name, I think, rang out immediately. So I was glad to see them make that happen and to get aggressive and to recognize how urgent of a situation that was. But yeah, I think on the high end, the Jaden Higgins thing was concerning. So shout out to
Mm-hmm.
them for making the Kayshon Boutte trade. It made that injury also made the Tank Dell question. I've been saying this on the radio and on my stream too. It made that question all the more urgent, right? Like I think correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Texans fans have been perfectly comfortable, considering that Tank has not played in over a year, were
Mm-hmm.
perfectly comfortable to just sit him off to the side and to let him work at his own pace. And Tank, bro, we're rooting for you and we'll see you when we see you. I think everybody
Yeah.
was comfortable with that.
Yeah.
When that Higgins injury happened, bro, I was like, okay, so what's going on with Tank again? Like,
Yeah.
when is bro
Yeah.
gonna be ready to go out there and play? Because we kind of need him, kind of need
Mm-hmm.
him out there. So that's a little bit less urgent now that they got in Bootsy, but yeah, man, you just it's like landmines. You're trying to walk around, operate around the landmines, man, and just
Mm-hmm.
just waiting on the next thing. So yeah, I'm glad that they're not playing starters on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and the start of the season can't come quick enough because if the injuries happen during the actual season itself, 17-game season itself, I can live with that.
Yeah.
But give boys a chance out there, you know. So a long-winded way of saying yes, I am concerned about all of these injuries.
Not at all, man. Look, hey, you had to get it out, bro. You speak for a lot of Houstonians. I will say that Jaden Higgins, man. I said it when it happened. Like, just you talk about letting the wind out of your sails. You talk about like, no, the season's not over. It's not doomed, but it's like, dang, man. Like it just because it also goes back to the fact that since 2023, the Texans really speaking just specific to offense, they've not been able to field a fully healthy offense for the last 3 years, 4 years. Because again, just look at skill position players. You lost Nico periodically. That probably is going to happen. Of course, God forbid, but still, you can't really trust him like that. Jaden Higgins, of course, ACL. You lose Joe Mixon after he gives you 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns, and he just evaporates. So that's that happens. You lose Dalton Schultz in playoffs. You lose your freaking offensive tackle in playoffs. And then also, of course, Tank Dell the last 2 years. You've lost Brevin Jordan, who I thought was a sneaky loss when you lost him because he was your athletic tight end, right? Who I'm sorry, no disrespect, but Dalton Schultz was not taking that ball 76 yards against the Browns in 23, right? So, like you lost so much weaponry. Oh, I forgot about Stephon Diggs, torn ACL,
Yeah.
right? So it's like the Texans have gone through the ringer and then some, specific to the offensive side of the football since 2023. And you were just asking B Scott just for one opportunity. If we can just get one healthy season from our offense, man, this offense could be elite. And just as soon as Higgins went down, I was hoping because I didn't see the words non-contact yet. I was like, okay, maybe we might be okay. CJ said, "Oh, he's gonna be fine." So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can relax a bit. Nope, and that's when torn ACL. So, but to your point, transitioning away from just the injuries, they did have to make a move. Like they did, and credit to Nick Casario, who he felt the same urgency we did. Did not even take him 7 full calendar days. He had already brought in some guys. He signed. Let's not forget Sterling Shepard and Zay Jones. He brought them in, and then on top of that, yeah, you got the Kayshon Boutte trade, which happened and really was a bit of a swindle, depending on who you ask, because you got him for Jalen Reed, and again, that part hurts me. Losing Jalen Reed, dang, that sucks because you like Jalen Reed. Like he was healthy this time around, and he was a guy who flashed already. So you're thinking, okay, cool, let's run it, which also means he had value. So the Patriots valued him, but really, B Scott, the fact that they were able to get away with just giving them a 2028 seventh was like that's pretty good right there. So, but to land on the booty side of things, right? And by the way, B Scott, I hate it for Kayshon's name, bro. There's been so many people who just have been unable to just converse about this man.
Can I give a hot take about that real quick? And I can talk to Kayshawn maybe off to the side about this because we don't have to make a
Oh,
spectacle of it.
oh,
But but I got questions. I got questions because I know some people with that name spelled exactly that way from the
mm-hmm.
same part, like from the same, let's call it region. He's
Yeah,
from New Iberia, Louisiana.
Mm,
and my family's from Southeast Texas, right there close to the Louisiana border, excuse me.
sure.
And there are people of that name littered throughout Southeast Texas. I got to think that they all can, and they pronounce it Boutte,
Mm-hmm.
Boutte,
All right. Yep. I
not
knew you go
booty.
brother.
Now, I'm not trying to challenge the man on his own name. The man
Oh
know his
God.
name, but I'm gonna ask him straight up when I see him, bruh. Are you sure?
Are
Are
you
you
sure?
sure it's not Boutte? Because I know at least 12 people with this name
No.
that's Boutte. And I'm gonna say it kind of tongue in cheek, like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I've been wondering about that, like, because when I first saw his name back at LSU, I was calling him Boutte.
Yeah.
He's at LSU. He's a Louisiana kid. This is French. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's Boutte. He
Yep.
gonna go out there and call himself Booty. All right, man. That's your business. That's my little side tangent, side note, real quick. But I got
Oh.
questions
Oh
with
no.
all due respect on if that's actually really how you pronounce it or not. I'm just saying.
That is so funny, bro. And listen, shout out Brandon Hollum 51. Listen, bro, no, I cannot post that. No, I got B Scott. Look, I might send it to you in private, but like, no, I cannot put that on here. But and it's funny you say that, man, because we had this debate, pseudo debate on H Town Rundown the other night. Same concept, Butte versus Booty, and it was like, how you gonna tell that man what his name is? It's like, it's not Booty, it's Butte. Like, so
Yeah,
it's
I'm
funny
not
you
trying
say
to
that,
tell him.
man.
I got
Right.
questions. That the
Right. I
man
got
name is his
questions.
name. Call yourself what you want. I'm gonna be respectful,
Right.
but I do have questions.
Hey,
Just saying.
fair enough. So, but perfect segue though. So, look, I got this clip. Shout out our guys, of course, Sean Prendergast, Landry Locker, Cody Stutes, and Reginald out of Tula, right? The Texans Collective. I got a clip actually about our guy, Kayshon, new Texans wide receiver. This is what the guys got together and talked about in regards to not just Kayshon, but the concoction of wide receivers now heading into Carolina Panthers and then 53-man roster, which you will predict. But this is what they had to say about where they currently stand on the wide receiver mixture right now.
This is an easy segue from what we were just talking about. So Kayshon Boutte going to be in the building here shortly. That room, the pre-trade looked like it had kind of solidified what it was going to look like because of the injury to Higgins, because of Tank Dell's glacial paced return from injury. I feel pretty strongly Tank's going to have some sort of injury reserve designation heading into the season, whether it's a season ender or a designated to return. I don't think Tank Dell is going to be on the 53 in week one. So that made it pretty easy just to go, okay, well, Collins, Hutchinson, Knoll, those are your top three. Justin Watson's the vet in the room. And then Jared Wayne and Lewis Bond, who, if Higgins and Dell were both healthy, were guys that were probably just fighting to maybe make it as a seventh guy, or if, maybe come back on the practice squad. All of a sudden, they're both in line to possibly make the team. Now you got Kayshon Boutte in the room. So what do the Texans do now? This is one of those situations, guys, where whoever the names we're talking about, they're competing just as much with a sixth linebacker or a fifth safety or whatever it may be as they are the other wide receiver in this conversation.
Right. So kind of the sum total of that be Scott. I'm gonna let you roll on this. So look, with Higgins being out, man, we've had to kind of cobble together the wide receiver room. We know we got Nico. He's always gonna be one. Xavier Hudson, that's your two. Of course, Butte is three, or Booty, that's three. You got Bond, you got Jared Wayne, who I thought was probably gonna make it. Justin Watson. Now, of course, you have Sterling Shepard, you have Zay Jones. So that's at least eight. So B Scott, I'm gonna ask you, man. So given the current lay of things, I mean, number one, do you think they're keeping six receivers or seven? And then number two, I mean, who doesn't make it out of the six or seven? Because there's no way I believe that Shepard, Zay, of course, Booty, I got him in there. You traded for him, but like Tank Dell on IR and Jalen Noel, like how does that work right now, B Scott?
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the more fascinating parts of the roster cuts, which is gonna happen on Sunday. They're gonna have to get this thing down to a 53 man. And I think we'll all be waiting kind of on the edge of our seat to see how the back end of that room actually plays out. But let's talk it through real quick, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just to how I've got it.
Yep.
Got Nico Collins, Kayshon Boutte,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna go Jalen Noel as their slot guy. But you can just
Mm,
do Jalen Noel and Xavier Hutchinson together there to give you
I like
four
that. Okay.
guys. So
I
there's
like that.
four.
Right.
There's four wide receivers right there.
Okay.
And then after that, I've got Lewis Bond making it because they just drafted him, and he's been really impressive in
Hmm.
preseason, training camp. One of the things we call, and those guys, all of those guys are either current or former 95.7 The Fan slash 610 guys, and we call
Yep.
them at the station camp crushers. And Lewis Bond has been that essentially since they drafted the guy. So there's 5 guys right there that I feel pretty confident in saying are gonna make it, and I don't think they keep more than 6. I don't.
Mm.
They could, but I don't think that they do. And
Mm.
so I feel like there's just a crew of guys. Everybody else that you mentioned feels like they're really fighting for that one spot because I feel fairly comfortable saying those first 5 that we just mentioned: Nico
Hmm.
Collins, Kayshon Boutte, the Iowa State guys, and Jalen Noel and Xavier Hutchinson, and
Hmm.
then Lewis Bond. I feel pretty confident those 5 guys are going to be on the team.
Right.
Who is going to be that 6th receiver? And then the follow up question is, could they, as you just asked, could they carry a 7th? But I think
Sure.
it's 6. And if it's 6, is it Jared Wayne? Because he's been. I think Jared Wayne has a case for being the most impressive wide receiver, not named Nico Collins or not named Jaden Higgins, that they've
Mm.
had in all of training camp
Right.
and in all of the preseason. So he's got an opportunity there. Of course, they brought in those veterans. Like who's the best guy? Who's the best guy left standing? Who's the last man standing of Jared Wayne, Justin Watson, who I know they value for his veteran. Uh, I won't say leadership, but what he brings as a veteran, and then also what he can do on special teams and all of that. Like he is
Yeah.
like an underrated player in that way, and at least in terms of how they value him. So Jared Wayne,
Hmm.
Justin Watson, and then of course those other 2 guys that you mentioned that they just brought in, and Zay Jones and Sterling Shepard. Like that's 4 guys right there for really what I think is one spot. I anticipate, obviously Jaden Higgins is out for the season. I anticipate that Tank Dell will be on some kind of list where he's
Yeah.
not performing. But then if he ain't, right, if for whatever reason they want to carry him on the active roster, which I do doubt is the case, but it's still
Yeah.
possible until it doesn't happen. Now we're talking about all those guys either being on the practice squad or straight up getting cut. So it's gonna be real interesting because I really think we're only talking about one final spot, and we're
Hmm.
talking about no less than 4 guys that could potentially fill it.
Hmm. I know, like you said, and like Brandon also alluded to, special teams is going to have a lot to do with it. Who's willing to not just play special teams, but be effective at special teams? Uh, Look, I don't think everyone needs to be a special teams ace necessarily. We're not looking for like 5 gunners, but it's like, you need guys who are versatile enough to never leave the field if necessary, right? So I did notice that, Bond did that, against the Chargers, against the Raiders. Like he got out there doing various things. I think Whittington got in special teams too, even though he's not a wide receiver, but still, like we're talking versatility. So, and that's what this team is all about. Frank Ross, especially, versatility and just add as much value as you can. That way, they cannot take you off the field. So, we'll see. And I like what you said about Jared Wayne. I believe that aside from all the ghosts, if you will, that Wayne has had to face, and I'm glad he's on the other side of that now. Fans got to just get over it. Sorry to say, but
Yeah. It
he
was an
has
accident,
improved.
man. It was an accident. Come on, guys.
Yeah,
Just
it
real
was.
quick. It was an accident, guys. Come on.
It
Be for
was.
real.
It was. And and I'm happy that the guys have a good relationship. Dell's not bitter. There was forgiveness offered, and it happened, right? No, I've been a fan of watching Jared Wayne kind of reclaim his reputation, whatever that was, doing what he did against the Raiders. Like I don't care if it was the first preseason game. Like he still went up, climbed the ladder, and excuse me, you too small, came down with it, touchdown. That's 6 points, regardless. The math still checks out as a big body, 6'3", like just watching him run routes, be smooth and out of breaks, and just be available. That's good, right? Like CJ needs as many like available bodies as he can get that have height advantages. So that just adds to it. So look, it's just like I said, a lot of intriguing options. And then the Tank Dell of it is like at this point, it seemed like it would just be very irresponsible of them to carry him because I would be concerned about like his first NFL action back is week 1 against the Bills, right? Didn't touch a practice, like he touched a practice field like once in team reps. Outside of that, everything's been indie if he's practiced at all. He's disappeared this entire last week, which for me is like okay, that kind of confirms like brother, unless something amazing happens over the next 2 weeks, like bro, we're not seeing you for at least the first 4 weeks. And don't let the Texans start off 5-0, 6-0. We're not seeing you until way after the bye week, So just get ready for that. I think, and like you said, B Scott, like I think we're okay with that. Like we're not mad at that. It's just either poop or get off the toilet, basically. Like just can we please just get on with this, right? Like there are spots being held up, and this we just want them to make the smartest decisions possible. We trust the decision makers. They haven't tried to put the guys out there hanging them out to dry or to let them get hurt. Things just happen. So we just want decisions, man. That's what it is. It's decision time, B Scott. So and it kind of segues into our next topic, which is of course going to be the fact that along with decision time, there's some games to be played to get to the decision. So B Scott, we're at the final preseason game. Texans versus Panthers. The Texans are 0-2 so far, thanks to our third stringers in the preseason. Sorry, hey, bro, listen, it's real. And I'm pretty sure D'Amico probably chewed them out. But we're facing off against the Carolina Panthers. Of course, we mentioned earlier, no starters are the way, which is fine. But we still have a lot of goal to find. There are still guys who are making last minute pushes for the roster, i.e., Jared Wayne, Lewis Bond, stuff like that. So, B. Scott, I'll ask you, man, heading into that contest, even without the starters, I mean, what kind of last minute pushes do you anticipate seeing in what presumes to be a hard fought contest, considering a lot of these guys won't be back?
Yeah, so we already hit on one in Jared Wayne, and I think he's got to be somewhere toward the top of the list in
Yes.
in this conversation. So we can start there. But
Mm-hmm.
there's some other guys as well. Just go to the offensive side of the ball. Of course, we just mentioned Jared Wayne, but Noah Whittington is somebody who I thought was playing really well, having a good camp, having a good preseason, and then has been injured the last couple. And I'm not sure the severity or exactly like the details of the injury. I didn't get to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me for that.
Yeah.
But I, I was impressed with Noah. I've been saying this on the radio. I am a Noah Whittington fan. I love what I've seen from him in practice and in the preseason. Somebody that I would have liked to have seen in this final game. I'm not sure if he's going to be available, but it's a conversation for me though. To the point of that third running back spot, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know as we sit in here and talk about it. I don't know who it is. Like it could
Mm-hmm.
be Jawar Jordan. That's what the depth chart says. But Noah Whittington, I thought, was doing a pretty good job of making a bid or making a case for that. British Brooks comes back from injury. I think he's somebody who they like in special teams and perfectly fills in that fourth running back role, but really a fullback and a special
Mm-hmm.
teams guy and maybe like an emergency running back if it just comes down to it. But I want to know who RB3 is going to be, and that's the point, the part of, and the point in which we are
Yep.
in the preseason is where we're trying to figure that out. So I would
Mm-hmm.
start there. Um, Also, I would look over on the defensive side of the ball and say somebody like an Elijah Huzzy. Like these are guys, the guys that I'm mentioning now, Clayton, are
Yep.
guys who going into the preseason, going into training camp, are not guys that I would have even penciled in on the roster per se. Jared Wayne
Sure.
included, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like that's
You're not
how I feel
wrong.
about it.
You're not
So
wrong.
so now Jared Wayne feels like a guy that could legitimately make the team. Noah
Mm-hmm.
Whittington, an undrafted free agent, feels like a guy who could legitimately make the team or at least have a role on the team. Elijah Huzzy, who like Jalen Petrie is a unique player at that position, at that nickel back position, because he's like a nickel safety linebacker kind of hybrid type of player,
Mm-hmm.
very unique player. So he's going to be difficult to replace or replicate if something were to happen to him anyway.
Right.
But I think Elijah Huzzy has gone out there and done some really good things. Even the guy
Mm-hmm.
behind him and Brandon Codrington at times has shown up.
Yep.
So those are guys on the defensive side of the ball that I'm gonna be looking at. Naquan Jones, the defensive
Mm-hmm.
tackle. I'm
Mm-hmm.
real curious to see how the defensive line shapes up, especially considering that injury to Dylan Horton. I know they brought in
Yes.
another defensive end sort of in his place, but does like what happens there with the defensive line? Do they short change the end position? All of us talking about DN4,
Mm-hmm.
and are they comfortable with just three solid DNs and then loading up on defensive tackle and relying on Logan Hall's positional
Mm-hmm.
flexibility, the way they
Mm-hmm.
did sort of with Danico Autry in previous years? So like,
Mm-hmm.
how does
Mm-hmm.
that shape out? And I feel like Naquan Jones is somebody who was on the fringes of the roster, at risk of not making the team. but as a guy on the back end of the roster, has been one of the better one of those and has made a
Mhm.
case for himself. So how does that play out? Again, just to recap some of the names again that are standing out to me going into a game like
Mhm.
this are Naquan Jones, Elijah Huzzy, Noah Whittington. I don't know if he plays, but that's just a name that sticks out to me.
Mhm.
And yeah, and Jared Wayne, of course, are just sort of the guys on the back end fringes of the roster that I'm really curious to see. I'll add one real quick of a
Mhm.
much more well-known player who I'm curious about just to see how long he's going to be playing in this game. I'm curious what you think about this. Is Wyatt Teller playing like in the
Mm.
third quarter?
Mm.
And what does that mean? What do we make of that as a Texans community?
Mm.
What do we make of that as a Texans
Mm-mm.
community? So those are things, and Wyatt Teller should not have ended up being mentioned in this answer to the question that you asked
Mm.
as one of their marquee free agent acquisitions. However, it does feel like he has found himself perhaps on the fringes of the roster. We'll see.
Mm. 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 That was nasty. That was. Ooh, yeah, you're right, man. Look, you basically said everything I could have said, but I do want to land on the Wyatt Taylor of it. And we would have coupled him with Braden Smith, I do believe, if Braden hadn't gotten hurt. So that's why we kind of mentally check out there because both of them found themselves kind of the second string, on the offensive line against the Raiders. So that happened. All the sleuths saw it. They said, wait a minute, both Wyatt Taylor and Braden Smith, the second string offensive lineman, what's going on here? Some said, oh, well, maybe they're just rotating and trying to figure out combinations. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know. And especially if you have NFL Pro, which is a great resource, you should go check it out. You will be able to look into it yourself and see, like, yeah, there was some play. And look, everybody gets beat sometimes, but when you start seeing the same kind of things on tape, you kind of start getting concerned, right? You see Braden Smith, Wyatt Teller kind of lagging on some plays behind defenders, like really getting blowing off the line of scrimmage. So again, it's early in the preseason. Both of them, you got
I was just gonna say on the ground a lot.
yeah,
I've been noticing
yeah,
that just like up close, being in some of the practices, they having to pick up Wyatt Teller on the ground, and you end up on the ground sometimes, man. It's a physical game, but he been
sure.
on the ground a lot, bro, a lot.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Braden Smith too. There was one he torpedoed. I forgot who he tried to get, but he tried to spear somebody. It just missed. It just was on the ground. So it just wasn't good. But then you flip on the tape and see Trent Brown and Ed Ingram absolutely devouring the entire right side of the offensive line. It was beautiful. They were blowing dudes 5 to 7 yards backwards, stacking bodies literally on top of each other, pushing them and just opening these gaping holes for Woody Marks just to slide through easily. Like these are holes. I look. I don't care if it's preseason in that regard. Like football is physical. I have not seen holes like that in a good long time. Like just running back gets the ball untouched in the backfield, and literally he's running for like 5 to 7 yards before he's touched. Like that's the kind of domination that Trent Brown and Ed Ingram, enforced against the Raiders. But like you said, it is what it is. That's a valid question. Is Wyatt Taylor playing deep into this ball game? And if he is, that itself, I think, is a bad sign because if every other starter is not playing and you're out there at all, or especially playing late, that's very telling. No pun intended. But so, it's just with that being said, and again, we're not going to make this into a Nick Casario thing, but it does make you think like, you know, it just, it sucks that your two big name guys in Braden Smith and Wyatt Teller seem as though they're trending towards being depth options, right? It sucks on one hand because again, that's not what you originally envisioned outside of Houston, Texas, right? But I mean, outside of the walls of Reliance Stadium. However, though, B. Scott, there is benefit in that you and I can both agree that hey, even if they are depth guys, they offer you much better depth IQ wise and accomplishment wise and accolade wise than what you had last year, right? So you still win. It's just that not in the way that you thought. So now you got the surprise five of left to right. Arion Terrestre, left tackle. Now you have Kalen Rutledge, his natural position, slide him over to left guard. Evan Brown, surprisingly, at center. Of course, Ed Ingram talked about him, and then Trent Brown. That seemed like that's your five. And then lo and behold, Blake Fisher. Shout out to him. By all accounts, seem as though the coaches have been saying it, like he's been improved a lot. what if he ends up, getting better and it's somehow, some way going from a guy who was just an extra, jumbo package guy doing this every play to could he maybe find his way to right tackle in the future? Could he still be that guy? We just truly don't know. Right. So these are the kind of things that, yes, B. Scott and I and others will be looking for against the Panthers. It definitely is meaningful. Um, that's why I believe it's going to be intense. These guys are going to be fighting. A lot of these guys know, they're auditioning to be elsewhere, so they're not going to let up. Especially if you're a third string in Houston and what you did last week. So definitely cannot do that. And I guess the final nail in the coffin on the preseason now, B. Scott, is just naturally okay. Well, what's the outcome? Like we know the combination of things, we know what's happening, but who's gonna win this thing, B. Scott? I'm gonna get mine out of the way, and I'm gonna let you cook up. For me, I just think, look, you're 0-2. I think you still got a bad taste in your mouth from last week's 17-point, cough up that you did. So I think the Texans take this to man. Final score, give me what I don't know, 21-13, something like that. It's going to be hard fought. It's not going to be a lot of ball movement, but hey, that's preseason. But I think they get a win leaving preseason, and I think they stay healthy for the most part. But B. Scott, what do you think, man?
I'm gonna take the Texans by a field goal, 24-21 Texans. And look, we're kind of spitballing with the final score of it all. But my point more so being that I think that the fringe roster guys, the depth guys that are going to be playing the bulk of all of this game, are going to take a lot more pride in their performance than they have up to this point. Like there's something to be said for losing that first game, and I think there was a collective shoulder shrug about that. But then the way they lost the second game, and it being at the hands of or due to those back end guys, the third stringers, they the record might not matter overall, and the game might not technically count. But these are guys that have been in camp for a month plus or whatever it's been.
Yep.
And this is their audition. This kind of is their season in a lot of ways. Some of these guys are not going to be here. Some of these guys are going to be in other places. Some of these guys might end up on practice squads. This might be the most football that a lot of these guys end up playing at all. So you got to think that there is a competitiveness and a pride within somewhere that's going to make them say, hey man, forget going winless in the preseason. Let's just not play like how we did the last time. Let's not embarrass ourselves. Let's not bring the property value down. Let's not be the one. You don't want to be the one in a nice neighborhood and you got a van parked up on the grass or something like that. Like let's not be that house. Let's just take care of our business, especially since I think the first string guys have looked anywhere from decent to really good, and they were dominant from all reports. I know you saw them dominant from all reports against the Panthers in the joint practice. So if they go from, imagine what kind of hurt to your pride and ego as a competitor that this would be if everybody knows that the first stringers on both sides of the ball were either really good to dominant against the Panthers in the joint practice. Then you go out there in the game, everybody knows that the first stringer's not playing, and you get spanked. That will be a very clear train of logic there of analysis. First stringers are better than the Panthers, and these second and third stringers not only not better than the Panthers, but they apparently ain't better than the Raiders. they you know what I mean? Like they're this is not it. They're apparently not better than the Chargers, So yeah.
They got bullied. Look, hey man, listen, we call it what it is. They got bullied. That's flat out. Like they got dominated, physically imposed upon by the Chargers. The Raiders, again, Aiden O'Connell. And I guess, by the way, to be fair, Aiden O'Connell, he's an NFL quarterback. He's had starts under his belt. So, let's not act like he's like Nathan Peterman out here, like he's undrafted. We don't know him. Like he's had reps. So of course he's probably icing in veins. Like, all right, I've seen this before. It's preseason, whatever. So, but still though, like that ain't good, man. You blew a 17-point lead in the preseason. That's as big of a layup as you can get. All you got to do is hold the ball. And the fact that you let them not just beat you, B. Scott, you let them walk you down the field. They walked you down. and just bullied you at the end. So, yeah, man, I think, like you said, man, I think they got a lot to prove. This is their season. This is do or die for a lot of them. Hate to say it, but it is what it is. And which kind of segues into our final point before we wrap up. And again, B Scott, I really appreciate you. It's an honor and privilege to have you on, man. This little space right here. And again, all the Houstonians watching, thank you for indulging us for almost this hour. It means a lot. So yeah, man, we kind of already answered the most of the 53-man roster, so we're not going to rehash that. So I guess I'll reframe it this way, B Scott, and we will get up out of here. Do you foresee, if at all, any surprise cuts? Not just like cuts like, oh, okay, I see that coming, or mild like, oh, that's interesting. Any like shockers like, oh wow, like that guy didn't make it, or maybe surprise makes where you're like, oh wow, I didn't see that happening, but hey,
The surprise make would be Noah Whittington to me because
okay.
I didn't think that there was a spot for him. I thought that was just going to be, and no offense to him, I just didn't think that there
Mm,
was room for him. I thought it was too crowded of a room for him as an undrafted running back to find his way in there. That's somebody, again, and I was saying this earlier, guys who you would not have even penciled on the roster, not
mm,
even in pencil, much less pen. I think that's a guy that's got a shot to make it. Now, again, he had an injury issue over the last week or so, and I'm not exactly sure where he is physically right now. But
mm-hmm,
I feel like he's done all you could do, or all he could do to make his case. That's my surprise for making it.
mm,
My surprise as a cut, and it would be a surprise as a cut only because you figure there's got to be some value there. Maybe they could trade this guy. Maybe he's this year's version of Cam Robinson, this year's version of Laken Tomlinson.
oh,
But I think it's Wyatt Teller, man. I think
mm,
it's Wyatt Teller. And here's
dang,
and
back
and,
to
and here
Wyatt.
and here's why I say this. Here's why I say this.
Dang.
Because you mentioned them as a depth piece, which would be great. I think that would be great. It's like, hey, you got a two-time All-Pro just sitting standing on the sideline if you need him.
Mm,
That would be dope. I don't feel like they signed him to be a depth piece.
mm-mm,
I don't think they did, and credit to them for not being like bullheaded about it. If Keelan Rutledge is a better left guard, then he's a better left guard, and let's go with it.
yeah,
But I don't think he was signed to be a depth piece. They
mm,
gave they gave some more guaranteed money to Jarrett Patterson,
yep,
and so between Evan Brown, Jarrett Patterson, um, like I don't know. I just that is one that would be the shocker because I was the one and I
mm-hmm,
guess this is my answer because I was also the one making the case earlier in the offseason
mm-hmm,
before training camp, maybe around OTAs, mini camp, that this
mm,
was arguably their most important signing
yeah,
because of what you've been missing at left guard for all of these years now. Years we're talking about. Years.
yep,
Multiple years at left guard of it being an issue. So I thought that was super important to get a guy of his stature,
mm-hmm,
even if he was coming off of a down year in Cleveland. But from what I've seen, man, look, Keelan Rutledge is the better guard right now.
mm-hmm,
And I'm not sure if he provides Wyatt Teller provides the value that perhaps they were anticipating, and certainly not the value that I was
mm-hmm,
anticipating and a lot of us were anticipating. So that would be my surprise cut. Not that I'm rooting
mm-hmm,
for it. I want everybody to do well,
yeah,
but he's the one that I have an eye out for, man. I feel like
mm-hmm,
the defense is mostly solidified, and we kind of have a good sense for who those guys are going to be.
correct.
But Wyatt Teller, man, got my eye on that.
All right, cool. Dang. All right. Well, hey, I gotta pick a good one. I gotta get a strong follow up here. So, my surprise make at this point for me, again, you took the good ones. I think my surprise make at this late of a stage, based off what I see, give me Brevin Jordan. I will say that. I think Brevin
Okay.
Jordan. I think is a surprise make because in my mind he's cut. In my mind he's gone because he has not practiced. And it's not me trying to be harsh. It's just the fact that again the best ability is availability, right? And it's just the fact that he it's just the worst timing possible for Brevin Jordan. I mean, they invested in him while he was hurt to give him an extra year, so it shows that they value him. It's just his body just keeps letting him down, man. And it's just at this point now Cade Stover has put some good film out there at fullback, just being available. Marlon Klein. I mean, shoot, sign me up. I've been posting about it. Look, I done bought up all the stock. Give me all the Marlon Klein stock I can get. As far as I'm concerned, he's tied in two. Like Foster Moreau is tied in 3 to me, and Marlon Klein he's tied in 2. Right, for whatever that means, whatever. But Brevin Jordan, if he were to still make this roster, yeah, I think that would be shocking to me because again, the man has not practiced. He's another injury waiting to happen, unfortunately, and it just again, we have healthier bodies, we have guys who get signed at this point if you really want to do that. So that would be a shocker to me if he made it. My surprise cut, you said Wyatt Teller. Give me Braden Smith. I would say Braden Smith simply because I go back to Blake Fisher and the fact that if Blake Fisher outplays Braden Smith and of course Trent Brown, who looked like he was trending towards beating him out anyway, it's like you said about Wyatt Teller. I mean, did you sign Braden Smith at a 2-year, 25 max million, 25 million max value deal to be your third string right tackle if it all came down to it? No, you didn't. So it's like, I mean, hey, if that's feasible, I think you said Wyatt Taylor. I think even on Braden Smith, especially with the injury now, it's like, okay, if he comes back in any kind of more limited fashion than what he already was, having already, kind of being a little bit long in the tooth and already having nursed a lot of injuries coming out of Indianapolis, is like, I don't know. Maybe that's me, but I'm glad it's not our money to spend. So there's that. Again, Lewis Bond played his way out of the surprise makes. It's not a surprise. Jared Wayne a little bit, but not really. I was tempted to say Justin Watson is a surprise make, but nah, I just went with Brevin Jordan. I think I'd be highly shocked if he made it at this point. But with that being said, B. Scott, man, listen, we didn't talk a lot of ball. We didn't talk jerseys. We didn't talk Titans. We didn't talk 53 and everything in between, man. B. Scott, I'm truly thankful. I thank you for helping wrap up the preseason with me. Texans versus Panthers, man. I'm glad to have just been able to hear your insight and your wisdom. And I appreciate it, man. And again, if we ever do this again, I would look forward to it. I'd be honored to have you on again. Um, you know, and yeah, man. So, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say this went well enough, man. For you, if you ask me, I'll come back. Just ask me. We got to work it out, the plan, planning the
Sure.
timing and everything, because of the schedules. But as far as like the willingness and desire to come on and join you, man, let me know and I'll make it happen.
Hey, appreciate it. All right, B Scott. So before we get you out of here, man. So any specific projects that you're working on that people can look at? I know 95.7 is gonna have you. I know the B block. Is there anything else special that you're kind of cooking up?
Yes. Oh man, I love that you asked me this, but I hate that you asked me this because I do have something that I just cannot. I don't think that I can talk about just yet. But I
Oh,
will
you
say this though.
tease.
I'm gonna say this though. Please stay tuned. Where would be the best place to make good on this? The B block.
Yeah.
If anything moves on what I'm talking about, what I'm like vaguely referencing right now, which is horrible to do, and so forgive me for doing that. But check out the B block with B Scott. I'm on most days. Try to stream at least 3 times a week, and I will have everybody updated there. But in the meantime, excuse me, the B block with B Scott, and of course 95.7 The Fan.
Absolutely. I'm gonna make sure to check it out. I gotta see what you teasing because you hit him with that Dragon Ball Z that next time find out next time.
I
So
did. I
yeah,
did.
man.
I did. You
Yeah.
asked me, and I'm like, man, I'm actually eager to talk about this, but I don't think I can yet.
Can't
So
do it. Just like the
we'll
mutants
get there.
couldn't do it.
We'll
Couldn't
get there.
do it.
Yeah.
But again, this has been 95.7 The Fan and B Block host B Scott from Herm Clark. By the way, I forgot about this. My grandma actually lived in Herm Clark. I actually grew up there, so which is kind of funny. And again, by the way, for those out there, it's not pronounced Hiram Clark. It's Herm Clark.
Herm. Yeah, got Herm.
Herm Clark. Got to put the Herm on it. Just like with Kirkendall is, got to put that in there. But again, my name is Clayton Anderson, covering the Texans for Tour Times of the Fansided Network. Of course, we want Houston podcast, guys. We didn't talk enough. There's football happening right now, so go ahead, tune in. Again, B Scott, he teased everybody, but go follow him, B Block Podcast. He's always with it. Of course, 95.7 The Fan, liver, more listener than ever before, clear. Go check that out. It's amazing. And we're going to get out of here. Go Texans. Have a great rest of your evening. Be safe, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Actually, outro.